What's up, guys? Jimmy here with another Lots of Games video, and I'm very happy to have Gamester81 with us today. Gamester, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This is what, the third time now I've been up here.
Three times. He was here in 2012, maybe 2011, maybe 2010, but three times he's been here. Pretty something.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Good to be here, man. Thanks for your hospitality. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So not too long ago. Now, this is real. I like this type of stuff, guys, because there's a video that Gamester did not too long ago talking about his current stance on Nintendo and also why he's not collecting original NES games anymore, NES titles. And actually, it got a lot of response. A lot of gamers like you and me were talking about this. Some of you guys, though, have maybe not been able to check it out. Tell me, for those that did not get to see that video, what was that about with Nintendo and original NES titles? You don't want to do that, and also like your opinions of Nintendo nowadays.
Obviously, look, Jimmy, I love Nintendo. I'm wearing a Nintendo shirt for crying out loud, right? So I mean, like,
right.
And I'm a big fan of the old NES. I think the point I wanted to make about the old NES games are that a lot of them are getting ridiculously out of price. Mm-hmm. Where, like Little Samson is like several $700 for a loose card.
Yes. Just the card, but not
just
complete,
the card.
Several
just the
hundred.
Card.
Yeah.
Several years ago, I was in the Classic Gaming Expo in Vegas, and actually there's a collector who's actually his intentions are to collect every single copy of Little Samson just to drive up the cost. And I frown upon that. I don't think that's right. Mm-hmm. Just to make myself clear, I do still buy classic NES games.
Okay.
I still support the classic NES scene, the scene.
Right. Yeah.
But as far as the games go, like the games that are like $200 or more, I'll pass. Thank you very much. As a collector, it pains me because a lot of these games are expensive, or a lot of them not as good either. I mean, there's some good games that are expensive, obviously, but the Super Nintendo's. Same things happen to Super Nintendo.
Right.
Earthbound, great game, but that game, how much is it loose now? I mean, it's several $100.
Yes. And this has happened in like just the shortest period of time, like progressively. I don't know, past 2 to 5 years, the prices have gone up like double, tripled, quadrupled.
I think a lot of it to do, honestly, Jimmy. I think it's the YouTube community. Honestly, people like you and I who are reviewing games.
Right.
People. Grew up with the NES. It's a great system.
Mm-hmm.
I think the nostalgia is obviously, I played that game. I want that game again. And so obviously, it's all supply and demand.
Yes.
Right? That's all it is.
Right.
And that's my point, is obviously the demand for the NES is hot.
Yes.
It's super hot right now. But just like the stock market goes up and down, right?
Sure.
So my strategy is I'm gonna hold off, wait till the stock drops a little bit. Cools down.
Yes.
And then I'll pick up the games.
Right.
But I'm not going to go out and, like, the worst thing I think someone could do is go on eBay right now and do a buy it now. As far as if they didn't do their homework. Now, if you do your homework, that's one thing. But if you're just looking for a game like Earthbound, or if you're looking for Little Samson, and you say, $200, buy it now, boom. Yeah. But look at games like the Nintendo World Championship card.
Yes. That
just went on eBay, and it was gray, the label was torn off.
Right.
Now, granted, the auction, I guess it was trolled or people were just bidding on it, but it went for $100,000. And I don't think anyone actually paid that. But people go on eBay and look at past sales, and there's nothing on eBay that says that it wasn't paid. It just says that it
that's the
was
ending
sold.
bid.
That was the ending bid.
Yep.
So people go on that and they base that, and then a week later there's like 5 Nintendo World Championship cards off buy now for like crazy amount of money. So that's my point. I love the NES. I just it pains me because the games are. For people who can't afford the games, it's just hard to collect.
Yeah.
I'm not a completionist. I don't want to buy every single game. But there are some games out there I would like to get. Little Samson being one of them, or other ones. But I'm going to hold off. That's my point.
I did not know there was so many games like that. There were, because, Pat the NES Punk, he did a video when we talked about, I think it was Flintstone's Surprise at Dinosaur Peak.
Yeah, right.
He had also mentioned this, where he had learned on how certain buyers or resellers or whatever had bought half dozen or a dozen of these, hoarding them so that they can drive with the price. So like, my $50 or $60 game is now $500, $600, $700, $800. That's outrageous.
But it goes to supply and demand. So if people like you and I say, we're going to cool our jets a little bit, wait, no one's going to buy the games for that much. They're going to drop in price. Okay. That's just a matter of time.
I agree. That's smart. Wait it out if you can. That's a good.
But one thing I do want to say though,
Yes.
I'm happy that people like to collect games in the physical copies, because you look at ROMs, you can get Earthbound for free on a ROM.
Sure.
Yeah, on an emulator.
Yeah.
But it's a different experience having the physical copy playing on the original cards on the original system than on your PC or your handheld or whatever. So.
Right.
But that's good that people still have an interest in physical copies, and that's awesome. So,
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
Good. Well, okay. So I'm so glad you cleared that up. Now, also another video you did, you talked about your current stance on Nintendo, on how some of the things you've done. I mean, both of us, we grew up with the NES, the Super Nintendo.
Absolutely.
But it's a kind of Nintendo's kind of a different company now. Not to say that there aren't great games coming out for it. We're gonna actually, I've got some questions I want to talk to John about Nintendo. But can you tell the people that are watching this your thoughts on Nintendo, and how you feel they are doing in terms of the direction they're going?
Yeah, like I said before, I am a fan of Nintendo, but I'm a fan of the old Nintendo. If that makes sense. Like, I think the current Nintendo is really, and I know it's kind of controversial for me to bring this up, and there's going to be a lot of Nintendo fanboys who are going to dislike this video because of what I'm about to say.
Sure.
But the current Nintendo I think they're living in the past. I think they haven't really changed. You look at I think the Wii surprised Nintendo even for how successful it was.
Right. Yeah.
And it was, you look at system sales from basically the Super Nintendo on forward for Nintendo, except for the Wii, the sales have gone down. You look at and then the Wii just spiked up,
Right.
because it was innovative. They had the controls were cool, and they obviously Nintendo has some great, probably the best first party games out there.
Right. I mean, well, that's how they were able to do so well with the Wii. I mean, like the Wii games like Dance. The dance game, I forget what it was called, but like Ubisoft did the Dance Revolution,
whatever,
one of the dance games. But besides that, a lot of third parties they're expecting it rich on the Wii, and basically, for what I saw, if you wanted to make money on the Wii, you had to be Nintendo.
Yeah. And the same thing's true with the Wii. The same thing's absolutely true with the Wii. I mean, maybe Lego City might be one exception to the rule.
Yeah, you know what? And I did some research on this. The Lego City, great game. That one is actually published by Nintendo, and I didn't know they're not developed by Nintendo, but Nintendo, to get exclusive, from what I read, it was published. But even that game hasn't sold 1 million units.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm Ubisoft or if I'm Konami or any Capcom or whatever company, and I have an option, if I'm CEO and I have an option to port a game to the Wii U or do it to Steam or PS4 or Xbox One, it's a no-brainer.
Right.
I'm going to go with the Xbox 4 or Xbox One, PS4, or the Steam.
Yeah. Right.
The Wii U just, I mean, I think Nintendo's really alienated the third-party publishers, and I think in order for a long-term for a system to succeed, I think they need an overall, not just great first-party games, but they need a lot of third-party games that are also exclusive as well.
Exactly. No, I totally agree with you. I was doing some research on this, and give you an example with third-party and the importance of it. Assassin's Creed 4 was released for a lot of different platforms. It was released for the PS4, Xbox One, and Wii U. The PS4 and Xbox One haven't been out that long, but to kind of give you an idea how Wii U is doing with third parties, I read up on how Assassin's Creed 4 for the PS4 sold over 1 million copies. For the Xbox One, it sold around 700,000 copies. But for the Wii U, you want to take a guess how many copies were sold?
250,000.
150,000.
Wow. So,
and I think it was actually well over 1 million for the PS4. So the Wii U, in terms of third party, there's actually, I think it's, PS4 maybe is doing better in terms of console sales than the Wii U. But yeah, the third parties, I don't know what's going to happen with the Wii U. Nintendo, they even stated they need third party support, but I think a lot of third parties are kind of gun shy, or they're not quite sure how they want to approach the Wii U. Right. Because a lot of companies, I think, have tried to do that, and they haven't really done so well. Yeah.
Nintendo was really late to the party with online gaming. I mean, they had the friend codes, which was a nightmare. Right. With the Wii. Yeah. The Wii was in HD, which the other systems out at the time were. Now the Wii U is HD, which is great. Right. But I think Nintendo's problem was they made a mistake calling it the Wii U. It's
just an upgrade.
It's a Wii upgrade.
Or an attachment or something. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the graphics are increased, and
Yeah.
it's more powerful than the Wii. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I love the tablet idea. I like the idea of that. But you can't take it on the go.
Yeah.
Games like New Super Mario Brothers, it's you can either play it on there or watch TV. But there's nothing like the Wii U remotes or the Wii remotes. You can actually use them, and it was cool. It actually added to the gameplay experience. I haven't played a game yet on the Wii U where the gamepad added to my experience playing that game. I feel like I could play that game using a normal controller, and it's the same experience. You know.
Yeah. So do you feel it's a gimmick?
I do feel like the Wii U controller, the gamepad is a gimmick. Now I think there's potential where future games, and it's still early to say, the judgment's still out, but jury's still out. But I think it could do some really cool things. You know. You know, Zombie U, you can kind of look around, use it as a camera, whatever. But
is it worth that extra $50 or $80 price tag? Because that thing costs some money to make.
Right. No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah. But at least yet.
Right.
So I kind of feel like Nintendo is kind of slow to kind of get things going now. You know, the Wii U, obviously they made the online gameplay better.
Right.
By the way, Nintendo just dropped Wii online support. By the way, just the other day. It's no longer.
So can you no longer get can you get retro games from the store, virtual store? So you can you can no longer do online. So like Brawl and also like Mario Kart for the Wii, you can't do it.
No more. Okay. As of this week, I think. As of
Interesting.
This week.
Interesting.
So they kind of dropped the Wii pretty quick. You know?
Gee.
Yeah. Right.
And I said earlier, in terms of like it's just an upgrade or just an attachment. What I meant by that is like I think the average consumer, they're like, I already have a Wii.
Yeah.
Is this? Oh, so this is just a Wii with a special controller.
We're talking about the casual, not average, but the casual gamer. You know, grandma who bought the Wii.
Yeah.
Is she gonna? If you ask her what the difference between the Wii and the Wii U is, she's probably not gonna explain. She's probably gonna say what, maybe a controller or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm so I feel so strongly about this is because I am a fan of Nintendo. I want to see Nintendo succeed, and I kind of feel like the biggest fans sometimes can be the biggest critics, and that's kind of in my case. That's true. And I'd love to see Nintendo succeed, but I kind of feel like they're not really listening to the fans, so to speak. I feel like they're kind of behind the scenes, and it's not just graphics, and there's more to it. Obviously, Nintendo puts out some great games, but they keep rehashing the same games.
Sure.
How many Mario games are we going to see? How many Zelda games?
I mean, there's probably going to be a new Zelda around E3, and before people were like, "Wow, a new Zelda," but it's like we kind of expect that's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with the new Zelda Mario game, but
fun games,
they need more innovation, new stuff.
Like Pikmin was a fairly new franchise on the GameCube, right? And that's cool, But let's bring some new, Xenoblade is a great example.
Sure.
They made Xenoblade for the Wii, great, but let's games like that. But they didn't really push that. It was only available through GameStop, and we all know how that
was weird.
The GameStop thing says no hold.
Charging the games for like $80 for new copies or.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
Oh yeah. And all of a sudden they had all these new copies available that were used, and just it was crazy. But that's a whole other can of worms that we won't get into. Yeah. But no, it's just I don't know. I want to see Nintendo succeed. I really do. But I'm like right now. I mean, their sales are down 34%. They have the 3DS is selling well. There's some great games for the 3DS, but and we have to get into the whole issue about them flagging YouTube videos and reviews. I had a video that was like Nintendo Game & Watch. I was just playing it, talking about my memories of playing the game, and they flagged it, and there was no explanation as to why. There was no music in the game. There was no fair use allows anyone to, as long as you take some footage of the game and you're doing a review format, you have the right to use that legally. And before, it seems like you're guilty until proven innocent with Nintendo, and that frustrates me because they're biting the hand that feeds them, because us as game reviewers are doing free advertising for Nintendo.
And fans.
Yes.
Exactly. It's not like you're saying, oh, this is the worst thing, Nintendo really dropped the ball. It's like, this is something that really brought me a lot of nice childhood memories.
What was that event? I don't recall off the top of my head, but Nintendo, there's an event, they had Brawl was one of the games. And,
the
charity event, right? I mean,
yes,
it was and then Nintendo came in and said, no, you can't use our game in this.
Yeah.
And then they backed it pedaled because there was such an outburst of outcry for... What was that? Do you remember?
It was a fighting championship. I forget. It's this. They've got Street Fighter and all the major fighting games, and Brawl was one of them. And they wanted to do it for, I think, a charity event.
Right.
Yeah. Nintendo's like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, this is for charity. What's your problem?
Yeah, I mean, you get companies like Ubisoft, like, you know, for example, they love people to review their games.
Right.
You know, they'll send copies out and they say, please advertise our game
Yeah.
and talk about it. You know, or Nintendo, a system that's 30 years old, that's obsolete, that they are no longer making money on. They're worried about that.
Is it arrogance or is it greed or what is? I'm just trying to understand what Nintendo was thinking when, say, like a gamer like you or me, because that Nintendo Game and Watch, there was no music, and from what I've learned, in most cases, if you're playing a game and has music, usually that's when you run into a problem. But you know, John was playing a game where it had no music. The game was like
it's LCD. It's like a Tiger,
yeah.
like a handheld. Yeah,
way worse visual than you see even in like the first Game Boy.
Yeah.
You know, just very basic.
Very
but
basic.
For Nintendo to go after that video, I'm not exactly sure the direction they're going.
Where are they going to draw the line? Am I not going to be able to wear a Nintendo shirt on a video anymore because it has like a toad and you know, am I not going to be able to wear the shirt?
Make you put
visibly?
a black box
I
over
can
the
blur
video.
it out.
Yeah,
I mean,
right,
really? I mean,
yeah.
like, can I not say the name Nintendo anymore in videos? Like, where do they really draw lines? I mean, my concern is, and it's not about the money to me. It's really not, because I posted this video on my secondary channel. It wasn't even on my main channel. But when you put effort into a project, I think you should be rewarded for it.
Sure.
You know,
Absolutely.
I think that's just nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Because there are people on YouTube, people may like it or not, that do YouTube for a living full time.
Sure.
And their paycheck are dependent on their ad revenue.
Right. Yes.
And I know people get kind of sensitive, like, oh, why are you making money on making a YouTube video? Well, it takes a lot of work behind the scenes. I know you know this.
It does. Yeah.
Editing, you know, a 10-minute video doesn't just take 10 minutes to do. Right. And we can talk about this
Exactly.
later, you know? I mean,
oh my gosh.
there's a lot behind the scenes,
Yeah.
editing and equipment. You got these lights that cost money.
Right.
You have
Right.
games that you purchase or review that cost money.
Right.
And so I think it's okay to be fairly compensated for
No,
that.
absolutely. It's something that we really enjoy doing. We want to continue to
Right.
do it. And like you said, like you and me, it's not like this is our full-time job. We do it's a labor of love, and we do get a little bit back. But what do you think? Nintendo, do they care about their fans?
I think they do. I think they're just the way they're approaching things is a little backwards. I think I think it'd be stupid to say that they don't care about our fans because bottom line, their fans is the ones that are supporting them.
Absolutely.
But I just think they're kind of living an old school mentality where they're like they don't understand maybe the repercussions of flagging these videos. They don't, because you know now we're talking about it and we're going to upset some people that maybe feel the same way we do, and they're going to tell people about it, and they're going to tell people about it, and before you know it, people like what I've decided honestly is I'm not going to buy any current Nintendo games full price. I'm gonna buy them used if I want to game because I honestly I don't want to support a company that I don't feel like supports us,
the community.
The community,
right? Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's not me being. It's not being like, oh, I hate Nintendo and I want to see them, you know, suffer. Believe me, I try to buy games new as much as possible because I understand. I mean, I publish games myself and I understand it takes a lot of money and time into making games and stuff.
Right.
And so I'm absolutely about for supporting the publishers and developers and whatnot.
Yeah.
But when they come back and they slap you in the face and say you can't play our games, you can't talk about it, whatever, that's stupid in my book. I don't want to support that.
No, I totally agree. You know, it seems like some of the same problems or issues that Nintendo has, I think, are some of the same issues and problems that also Capcom has, where there's a lot of fans for Capcom. There's a lot of fans for Nintendo, and I think a lot of these fans are just asking and begging for certain things, and Nintendo and Capcom go, you know, that's a good idea, but we're going to give you something else.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I don't want that. So,
well, I mean, look at the example, my number 9, like the game that it's like Mega Man, but it's like
yes,
so
of course, absolutely.
And look how huge the support that game's getting.
Yeah, on Kickstarter, people just could not throw money at this fast enough because they want they couldn't get Mega Man, but they got this spiritual successor.
Yeah.
From the creator of Mega Man, and people are pumped.
People are excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, it's just Capcom's doing the same thing, and maybe it's just an old Japanese mentality. I don't know, but it's too bad. You know, and Nintendo's been around for a long time. They're the grandfather of gaming right now.
Sure.
They've been around They've been around the longest. I would have thought by now that they'd really embrace it. You know, and I think there's one thing about doing like Let's Plays and just like showing the game. But even that, like watching a video game on a video is a completely different experience than actually playing the game. That's just the beauty of video games, because when you play it, it's your own experience.
Absolutely. It's not like you're recording a movie where it's going to be the same experience every time.
Right.
When you play the game, you're going to make different choices than, say, someone watching it is going to make those choices.
And I know a lot of people who've come up to me and said, John, I've seen your review over this and that, and I bought it. Thank you very much. So it's like, we have a lot of weight, and anyone does who posts videos.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's just,
yeah.
if anything, they should be saying, thank you. We appreciate your review. And it's not like we're bad-mouthing their products.
Sure. No, I totally agree with you. There's a couple more things. As far as the Wii U, honestly, I think it's a good console. I think it has a lot of potential, but it is struggling when compared with sales of Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. And like you said, 3DS is doing okay. And I think I even read on how Nintendo the 3DS isn't performing even as well as they'd hoped, because I know a lot of smartphones and other things.
Right.
People are like, well, I could get a $20 or $30 game on the 3DS, or a $40 game, or I could get a free app on the iPhone.
Or $2 game, or $3 game.
Yeah. So Nintendo, I think, is feeling the hurt on that. Do you think Nintendo, in the not too distant future, is going to continue to make consoles? Or do you think what's going to happen with Nintendo? Do you think we don't know these things, but
we know that Nintendo's let's talk the facts. Nintendo's losing money, or their sales expectations aren't as good as they were expecting.
Right.
So whatever that means, but I think they have a lot of money in the bank based on the Wii sales.
They have a lot of money in the bank.
Yeah. So I don't think we're at the point where they're going to start just discontinuing making consoles.
Sure.
At all. Foreseeably, maybe they could start making games for other platforms. If it came down to that, they could, like we had talked about earlier, maybe making games for apps or something like that. To promote their systems as well.
Yeah.
I think that would be smart.
Right.
But we'll see. Time will tell.
Okay. Awesome. Well, guys, there is Gamester81, and definitely let your comments known in the section below, and let me know your thoughts on Nintendo. If you think they're just doing exactly what you want them to, if you're a big fan of the Nintendo brand, or what you're concerned about Nintendo, definitely leave those in the section below. And John, thank you so much for joining us today.
Awesome, man. Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, guys. Take care.